My brother just fired me in front of the entire board, calling me worthless. But when the CEO stood up and said, "Actually, she owns this company," the look on his face was priceless. Let me tell you how I went from floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park, Italian marble everywhere, and conference tables that cost more than most people's cars. This was Sterling and Associates, the investment firm where I worked as a junior administrative assistant. Fancy title for a coffee girl. Building character contrast, my older brother Marcus? He was the golden boy. Harvard MBA, corner office, Armani suits that probably cost more than I made in 3 months. Everyone called him Mr. Chen with respect. Me? I was just the coffee girl, or worse, Marcus's little sister. Mini cliffhanger number 1, what they didn't know was that I'd been hiding the biggest secret of my life. A secret that would destroy Marcus's perfect world in exactly, well, you'll see. Emotional backstory, let me rewind to this morning. I was in the break room at 6 a.m., preparing for the quarterly board meeting. My hands shook as I arranged the pastries from that fancy bakery on Madison Avenue. Each croissant cost more than my hourly wage. Marcus walked in, his cologne announcing his arrival before his footsteps. He didn't even look at me. "Mia, make sure you stay invisible today. The Nakamura deal is crucial, and I can't have you embarrassing the family with your presence." Emotional punch, his words hit like a slap. "I've been working here for 2 years, Marcus. I know how to, you know how to serve coffee," he interrupted, straightening his Hermes tie. "Don't pretend you understand business. Leave that to people with actual talent." Building resentment, I watched him stride away, his Italian leather shoes clicking against the marble. The same shoes I'd helped him pick out last Christmas, back when I still thought he cared about me. You see, our parents died when I was 16. Marcus was 22, fresh out of college. He became my guardian, my only family. I worshipped him back then, thought he was protecting me by getting me this job after high school instead of college. "You're not college material, Mia," he'd said with that condescending smile. "But you're good with people. Administrative work suits you." Mini cliffhanger number 2, what he didn't know was that for the past 7 years, I'd been building something that would make his Harvard MBA look like a participation trophy. Present scene, conference room, the boardroom filled with Manhattan's elite. Sterling and Associates wasn't just any investment firm, they managed portfolios for celebrities, tech billionaires, and old money families. The mahogany table gleamed under crystal chandeliers, surrounded by men in suits that cost more than cars. I moved silently around the room, filling coffee cups and arranging documents. Invisible, just like Marcus wanted. "Gentlemen," Marcus announced, standing at the head of the table in his navy Tom Ford suit, "today we're finalizing the Nakamura acquisition. This deal will cement Sterling and Associates as the premier investment firm on the East Coast." Building tension, Mr. Sterling, the elderly CEO, nodded approvingly. His silver hair and kind eyes had always made him seem grandfatherly to me. He was the only person in this building who ever said thank you when I brought him coffee. "Marcus has done exceptional work on this deal," Sterling continued. "The Nakamura Corporation represents a $500 million account." The room murmured appreciation. Marcus preened like a peacock, his chest puffing with pride. Cliffhanger number 3, that's when everything went wrong. The incident, I was refilling water glasses when Mr. Nakamura, a distinguished Japanese businessman, began speaking. My hand trembled, not from nervousness, but from recognition. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. "Before we proceed," Mr. Nakamura said in his precise English, "I must address a concern about Sterling and Associates' recent performance." The room went silent. Marcus's confident smile faltered slightly. "Our research indicates some irregularities in account management." Specifically, the Henderson portfolio. Rising panic, Marcus's face went pale. The Henderson portfolio, I knew about that. I'd accidentally seen the files when organizing his office last month. Numbers that didn't add up, transfers that looked suspicious. I can assure you, Marcus said quickly, any irregularities are minor administrative errors. Easily corrected. Mr. Nakamura's expression remained neutral. Nevertheless, we require a full audit before proceeding. The explosion, that's when Marcus lost it completely. This is ridiculous, he slammed his hand on the table, making the crystal water glasses jump. We're talking about minor paperwork issues. I won't have my reputation questioned by, his eyes landed on me, standing frozen by the coffee station. This is probably her fault anyway, he snarled, pointing directly at me. My sister here, she's the one who handles filing. Always screwing things up. Emotional devastation, every eye in the room turned to me. I felt heat creep up my neck, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped the coffee pot. Marcus, Mr. Sterling said quietly, that's hardly appropriate. Appropriate? Marcus laughed bitterly. You want to know what's inappropriate? Having dead weight like her dragging down this firm's reputation. She's worthless. Completely worthless. The only reason she has this job is because I felt sorry for her. The breaking point, the words hung in the air like poison. Worthless. After everything I'd sacrificed, every dream I'd put on hold to support his career, he called me worthless. In front of everyone. In fact, Marcus continued, his voice rising with each word, maybe it's time we addressed this dead weight problem permanently. Mia, you're fired. Pack your things and get out. You're an embarrassment to this family and this company. Cliffhanger number 4, the silence that followed was deafening. I stood there, coffee pot still in my hands, feeling like the floor had opened beneath me. That's when Mr. Sterling slowly stood up, his face grave. Marcus, he said quietly, I think there's something you don't know about your sister. The revelation begins, Marcus scoffed. What could there possibly be to know? She's a high school graduate with no skills, no ambition, she owns this company. Shock moment, the words fell like a bomb in the pristine conference room. Marcus's mouth literally dropped open. Mr. Nakamura raised an eyebrow. The other board members shifted uncomfortably in their leather chairs. I'm sorry, what? Marcus whispered. Mr. Sterling walked over to me, his expression gentle but firm. Mia, I think it's time. Mini cliffhanger number 5, my hands were shaking as I set down the coffee pot. 7 years of hiding. 7 years of being invisible. It was finally over. The backstory revelation, let me tell you a story, I said, my voice barely above a whisper but carrying clearly in the silent room. About a 16-year-old girl whose parents died in a car crash, leaving behind a trust fund she couldn't access until her 25th birthday. Marcus's face went from red to white to gray. A girl who worked nights and weekends, not serving coffee, but building an online investment portfolio. Who started with $500 from her part-time job and turned it into something bigger. Building suspense, I walked to the head of the table, past my brother who stood frozen like a statue. Mr. Nakamura, I believe you've been corresponding with someone called M. Chen about potential acquisitions? His eyes widened slightly. You're M. Chen? The M. Chen who owns Chen Holdings? The very same. The full revelation, I turned to face the room, feeling power flow through me like electricity. Gentlemen, allow me to properly introduce myself. I'm Mia Chen, founder and CEO of Chen Holdings. As of last week, when the acquisition paperwork was finalized, I own 67% of Sterling and Associates. Emotional climax, the silence was so complete you could hear the air conditioning. Marcus grabbed the edge of the table for support, his knuckles white. That's impossible, he stammered. You work here, you serve coffee. I served coffee, I corrected gently, because it gave me the perfect cover to observe this company's operations. To learn its weaknesses, study its competitors, and identify acquisition opportunities. Visual power moment, Mr. Sterling smiled, actually smiled, and opened his briefcase. The paperwork was finalized yesterday. Mia, the company is officially yours. He handed me a folder marked confidential in red letters. Inside were documents that represented 7 years of secret planning, strategic investment, and careful maneuvering. Cliffhanger number 6, but wait, I said, my voice growing stronger, there's more Marcus should know about his worthless little sister. Additional revelations, I pulled out my phone and showed the room a financial app. Chen Holdings' current valuation is $2.3 billion. We own tech startups in Silicon Valley, real estate in Manhattan, and yes, a controlling interest in Sterling and Associates. Marcus sank into his chair like his strings had been cut. The Nakamura deal you've been working on for 6 months? Mr. Nakamura has been negotiating with me the entire time. Through my investment firm. Mr. Nakamura nodded respectfully. Ms. Chen's strategic vision impressed us greatly. Much more than the conventional approach we encountered here. The twist deepens, but Marcus, I continued, walking around the table like a predator circling prey, there's something else. Remember the Henderson portfolio irregularities Mr. Nakamura mentioned? His face went completely white. I've been monitoring all account activity for 3 months. Did you really think you could skim money from client accounts without the owner noticing? Legal consequences, Mr. Sterling's expression turned grave. Marcus, we'll need to discuss these allegations privately. And immediately. This is insane. Marcus exploded, jumping to his feet. She's lying. She's just a coffee girl. She doesn't know anything about the $847,000 you've embezzled over the past 18 months. I asked quietly. I have documented every transaction. Every forged signature. Every fake client authorization. The final blow, I opened the folder and spread photographs across the mahogany table. Bank statements, transfer records, email communications, all bearing Marcus's digital signature. The FBI will be here within the hour, I said calmly. I filed the complaint yesterday morning. Emotional devastation, Marcus collapsed back into his chair, his expensive suit suddenly looking like a costume. Mia, you're my sister, how could you? For just a moment, I felt a flicker of the old pain. This was my brother. The man who'd raised me, protected me, and then spent years making me feel worthless. You're right, I said softly. I am your sister. And you threw me away the moment you thought I had no value. Mini cliffhanger number 7, that's when the conference room doors opened, and 2 FBI agents walked in. The arrest, Marcus Chen? The lead agent, a woman in a sharp gray suit, flashed her badge. You're under arrest for embezzlement and wire fraud. Marcus looked around the room desperately, like a trapped animal. This is a setup. She planned this. Sir, you have the right to remain silent. Visual moment, I watched as they handcuffed my brother, his Hermes tie askew, his perfect hair disheveled. The same hands that used to help me with homework were now cuffed behind his back. The other board members sat in stunned silence as the agents led Marcus away. His last look was at me, not angry, not defiant, just broken. Emotional complexity, Mr. Sterling approached me as the room cleared. Mia, I have to ask, did you plan all of this? I considered lying, making myself seem more noble. But I was done with lies. Every detail, I admitted. From the moment I turned 25 and accessed my trust fund. I'd been planning this acquisition for 2 years. The deeper truth, the coffee job, the invisible act, it was all research. I needed to understand this company from the inside. See how Marcus operated when he thought no one was watching. Mr. Sterling nodded slowly. And the embezzlement? Was a bonus, I said honestly. I suspected he was skimming, but I needed proof. So I watched. I documented. I waited for him to hang himself. Philosophical moment, revenge? Sterling asked. I looked out the floor-to-ceiling windows at Manhattan spread below me. Justice, I corrected. There's a difference. Final twist setup, that was 3 hours ago. Now I'm sitting in Marcus's old office, my office, reviewing the changes I'll implement. The first will be a complete ethics overhaul. The second will be doubling the salaries of all administrative staff. Emotional resolution, my phone buzzed with a text from our Aunt Linda, the only family member who'd stayed in touch, saw the news. Are you okay? I stared at the message for a long moment. Was I okay? I'd just destroyed my brother's life, taken his company, and sent him to prison. The final revelation, but then I remembered something I'd found while investigating the Henderson accounts. Hidden in Marcus's files was a letter our parents had written before they died. A letter naming me as the primary beneficiary of their estate, not Marcus. A letter he'd hidden from me for 9 years, letting me believe I had nothing while he controlled everything. Ultimate twist, I opened my laptop and pulled up a video file I'd discovered on Marcus's computer last week. Security footage from the night our parents died. Footage showing Marcus leaving a bar, clearly intoxicated, getting into his car. The same night. The same road. An hour before the accident. Chilling realization, the police report said a drunk driver hit our parents head-on. The driver was never found. Marcus wasn't just a thief. He was. Final moment, I closed the laptop, my hand steady despite the magnitude of what I'd discovered. Some secrets were too dangerous for revenge. This one was for the police to handle. My phone rang. The caller ID showed FBI agent Martinez. MS. Chen? We found something else in your brother's files. Something about your parents' accident. We need to talk. Closing lines, I looked out at Manhattan, the city lights beginning to twinkle in the growing darkness. Justice, I'd told Mr. Sterling. Not revenge. Sometimes they're the same thing. I'll be right there, I said into the phone. After all, Marcus always said I should leave business to people with actual talent. He was right about that part, at least. Ending twist, the ultimate revelation that Marcus was responsible for their parents' death, discovered through hidden security footage, transforms the story from corporate revenge to something much darker and more profound.